Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. Today, the movie I'm reviewing is Motherless Brooklyn. This movie is rated R. It's 2 hours and 24 minutes long. That's a really long movie. And the Movie Review Mom grade that I'm giving it is hovering between an A minus and a B plus. And I'll tell you why I gave him that grade. First, in a quick nutshell, this is a crime drama that's set in the 1950s, and it offers mystery, excellent performances, and New York City. The perfect formula for Oscar bait, right? Edward Norton directed, wrote, and starred in the film as a loyal gumshoe with Tourette syndrome, based on Jonathan Letham's 1999 novel, also named Motherless Brooklyn. Now, first of all, not everyone will have the patience to sit through this film. Again, it's almost 2.5 hours long, but I promise you'll be rewarded with some outstanding performances and a really great chance to watch the many gifts of Edward Norton. Now, some quick tips for parents. This is a rated R movie. So even if children were interested, it's rated R with about a bazillion F-bombs because I counted them. Mostly they'll be completely bored and really not interested in this movie anyway. And even some adults are going to be bored and not be able to endure the time because it's very slow moving. It's a film noir style, which also has a tendency to be very slow moving, and it is. There are some inappropriate slurs, some profanity in addition to all of the F-bombs that I mentioned, some violence with guns, some also with kind of hand-to-hand combat kind of stuff. So some people get shot and die. You see some blood, and man even falls from a fire escape in New York City, on a building and dies, and you see that. You see the splatter, but it's too far away that you don't see the blood. The themes are power, greed, corruption, the role of government, and in this case, the role of city government, because the movie takes place in the city of New York, loyalty, friendship, persistence, and tenacity, family relationships. And here are a couple of one line that I wanted to share by Willem Dafoe. His character says, if someone isn't seen for what they truly are, it's a very dangerous thing. And because the movie involves a mystery, you're not entirely sure out of all of these characters, who's a straight shooter, who's the enemy, who's your ally. So that's a really strong theme. The conversations in probably the last 15 minutes of the film were just loaded with golden nuggets of wisdom. I couldn't even write them all down. So just know that they're there. And by the way, after you watch my movie reviews, go onto my website. Is that better? Go onto my website, moviereviewmom.com, where I list a lot of the funny lines and interesting lines of every movie that I review. In case I don't mention them during the review, you'll know that they're there. Now, some things that I really liked is, first of all, I love the title of the movie. It's very intriguing. And you have to wait 1 hour and 40 minutes before you learn what it actually means. Why is it called Motherless Brooklyn? Actually, there are two meanings. One of them specifically refers to someone's name, and the broader one refers to the condition of New York City and some things that are happening there. So I love double entendres. I love that when there are more than one meaning to titles. Anyway, the extremely talented cast includes Edward Norton, Bruce Willis, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Bobby Cannavale. I can never pronounce his name correctly. Cherry Jones, Willem Dafoe, Alec Baldwin, Ethan Suplee, Michael Kenneth Williams, and the lovely Leslie Mann. And in fact, I've never seen her perform in such a dramatic role before, which I thought was really fun, and she did a good job. Rumor has it, however, that the main stars in the movie all worked for free just to show their support to Edward Norton. So how cool is that? That really impressed me. Aw. It really does feel like a classic film noir with all of the traditional characters that you would expect to see, the mystery set pieces, obligatory jazz music, reflective pauses, and mystery. Um, all of that is very film noir, except for normally they're done in black and white. And in this case, the movie's in color. However, the color palette is shifted and muted so that it feels more noirish. And it's actually perfect. I think that they did a really great job. There's this ominous music at the beginning of the movie that really sets the tone and matches some of the color palettes, even if you can imagine what that is. Well, if you've seen the trailer, then you know. And in my movie review that's written on my website, you'll see the trailer there. Excellent photography or cinematography by Dick Pope. As to how accurate Edward Norton's portrayal of Tourette syndrome is, I have to tell you, he spent a lot of time consulting with the Tourette's Association of America to prepare him for his role. They've actually approved of his performance, in case you're wondering, and he does a really great job describing what it feels like in his head and in his body to have to deal with Tourette syndrome. And apparently you can have muscular twitches or verbal twitches, and his character has both, along with a dose of obsessive compulsive disorder. So his character's just all over the place, which provides an interesting character in and of itself, as well as the humor that's in the movie. A funny scene, for example, was shown in the movie trailer, and it shows Edward Norton, and he's trying to flirt with a girl in a bar. And so his bravado, or his Tourette syndrome, gets in the way of his bravado, and he keeps blowing out this match. He's trying to light or help her light a cigarette with his match, right? And so he'll light it, and then he blows it out. He blows it out. He lights it. He blows it out. It's pretty funny until finally she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm done here." Anyway, it was kind of fun. It was interesting and even entertaining to watch the other characters and see other people how they reacted to his quirks and tics. And one particular scene, he lifted his arm to kind of cover because he could kind of feel something coming, bubbling up. And so he kind of covers his mouth. And then the lady who was talking to him just said, "Oh, bless you," because she thought he was sneezing. So there is some humor that's tied into Tourette syndrome, which again added an interesting element. The ending of the movie wraps up all of the very complicated questions that you're going to have. It takes a very long time to get there, but there is some satisfying resolution. And that brings me to the things that I didn't like about the movie. First of all, the movie is very long, I keep mentioning, but it's also very tiring. For example, I was completely exhausted within the first 10 minutes because of all of the F-bombs. I get it. You can swear, you can profane, you're mad. I don't have to hear that a billion times. Uh, I don't know. Did they really use that many F-bombs back then? I don't know. And so you might be wondering, well, then why are you watching this movie? If you have a filter and you can get rid of the language, the profanity, I think this movie would basically be a PG-13 movie, and it's well done and the acting is outstanding. It's just the doggone language that is just so exhausting. Okay, enough of that. But anyway, that also made me just exhausted. The plot kind of runs slow, it meanders, the pace is very slow, as I keep mentioning. And again, so some people just won't be able to tolerate that. You often don't know exactly what's going on. And sadly, some people just won't care. They'll get to the point where they're like, "I've had enough." And so I would hope that I could encourage them to keep sticking through it, stay to the end, enjoy the resolution that comes, and enjoy the artistry, because there aren't that many film noir movies that are made nowadays. The story is complicated, but it'll make sense in the end. Now, sadly, tragedy actually struck during the filming of this movie. A firefighter was actually killed on the set, as well as several other people who were injured when they were filming a nightclub scene in Harlem. The building caught on fire, and so, as I mentioned, several people were hurt, and then one actually died. And that such a it's so awful, and it's just so sad that that had to be part of the history of this movie, because all in all, Edward Norton should be greatly praised for taking on such a challenge. It's such a daunting task, and I think he did a really good job. um, on my web, that's my review in a quick nutshell. It wasn't that quick, was it? Kind of meandering like the movie. Anyway, on my website, I also have a list of the funny lines that Lionel, the character, blurts out because of his Tourette syndrome. And anyway, so there are a bunch of tiny. I can't. I can't even talk right now. Anyway, there are some funny lines that he said. There's some interesting lines as well. For example, at the very beginning of the movie, on the screen, it posts the words from Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. It says, "Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant," which is also another theme of the movie. Another interesting line by Edward Norton's character is he's talking about his best friend, Frank, and who's very significant in the movie. And he says, "Anyone teaching God's love while they hit you with a stick should be ignored on every subject." And there are just some really great little nuggets of wisdom. I'm looking here at all of these lines that I wrote. Go on to moviereviewmom.com and you can see some of the ones that I wrote. Now, often I forget to mention at the end of my reviews that if you like this movie, there are some other movies that you might also really like. And one movie that instantly came to my mind was Fight Club, which of course stars Edward Norton, and he had a hand in writing part of it as well. It's very violent, very brutal. It's rated R, but if you want to watch him in another outstanding performance, then I would encourage you to take a peek at that one. Anyway, all right, enough talking already. I hope you enjoy this movie. If you watch it, if you do, comment down below. I love it when we get good conversations going. In the meanwhile, have fun at the movie theaters, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.